welcome to this autumn life upgrade. I am Jenni P from the House of Preeminence, and in this event we are looking at all areas of your life. And let's just put this into context. It's that time of year when you've kind of been chilling out for the summer. Maybe you stopped, maybe you kept going. But we are definitely in a transition year. It's been quite a year for everybody. It really has been so momentous in so many ways, good and not so good. But this is a time of year when you as an entrepreneur are really thinking about how that you complete this next part, because you're suddenly aware that there's only 4 months left. So I know that you're going to be focused on that, on your business, but not just on your business. Often we start to think about our lifestyles again at this transition, and a lot of women especially are coming back into this knowing that they need to be in harmony with the seasons, with the cycles, with the moon, with our rhythms. So we'll be starting to feel a little bit more tired. Maybe we won't have the same energy as we did in the spring when we were all going for it. And so this definitely is a time when we need to take a really good audit of our energy and, of course, our alignment. So I got my best alignment buddy in. So we are going to talk all things money alignment today, and especially with regard to how I've just positioned this. So setting you up for a really good autumn transition. So welcome my gorgeous Karen Baines.
Hello, darling. You all right? My
Yeah.
superstar, look at you with your wings and your glasses.
Wings and glasses. Yeah.
Great to be here. Thank you for inviting me.
So I know that you've had a good chunk of time off, although you weren't actually just basking in the sun. I know you actually working behind the scenes.
Mm-hmm.
And can you just share a little bit what your year has been like before we get into into the juicy bits?
My year has been really transitional. So I knew at the back end of 2021 that the landscape for my business was going to be changing. I didn't really know what that looked like, but it made itself very clear to me over the Christmas New Year break, actually, because I take a chunk of time off over Christmas and New Year and a chunk of time off in August. And I do sort of pepper it with sort of shorter times off. But for those big holidays for me, I really try and take 3 or 4 weeks off from client work, engaging. I'll normally take 2 weeks off completely to just recharge. Even those first few days, you'll know this yourself, Jen, those first few days when you are winding down, you really do have to be very firm with yourself about not kind of doing what you've been doing for all of the weeks and months that have just gone by. And it really is a discipline. I found it a discipline, particularly this year, because it has been such a transformational year for me. So over Christmas, it became clear, once I started asking the question, okay, well, what will this look like? The universe, as it always does, delivered the answer. And then it was my part in that was to start moving the needle and getting this thing rocking and rolling along, which I did. And it's taken me the best part of 8 months to kind of get to the place that I'm at now, where things really have changed. So the previous 8 months have just been kind of insane and even a bit surprising. I mean, I've got a group, I've got a group now, something that I've not entertained for years. And I'm absolutely loving doing that. I've got a product that I've been working. It's been a labor of love, but I've been working hard with somebody to get that together, and now the finished product will be ready in the next 2 weeks, actually complete and tied with a big red ribbon and ready to go out into the world. And that's taken a really long time. But we kind of got to the point where the fruits of the harvest are sort of ready for plucking now, ready for picking, which is timely because we're going into autumn when the fruits are ripe for picking. And that is exactly what's happened. My business, the way I look at it now and the way I intend it to kind of emerge over the next, say, 6 months, sort of into up until spring next year, is completely different to what it was at, say, this time last year. Like, the things that are coming to fruition now weren't even on my radar this time last year. That's how quickly I feel this has happened. Even though at times going through it, it felt stunted and slow and frustrating and challenging. And it certainly wasn't, there were times where I was like, where is my flow? Where's the flow gone? But actually when I sit back now and I look back at a year, I'm like, wow, things are really different to what they were a year ago. And that actually makes my heart sing. I'm actually really, really proud of what I've achieved in this, what is actually a short time on the calendar, and really grateful too, because it's been pretty dynamic.
I freaking love so many of the points that you have brought up there. First of all, there was this fact that as we entered the new year, we were all aware that it was going to be radically different from the last 2 years when the whole global crisis was kind of having us very, very looking within, mostly no travel. We were having to make adjustments. I know your business was like pretty much just not affected at all, but nevertheless, in the collective consciousness, of course, there was this huge shift back at the beginning of the year to, like, the doors are open, we can get on airplanes again, we can get out there, we can get on stages, we can start to see people live. So there was this real kind of rush of energy, of which many people are absolutely exhausted. However, I also love the fact that you mentioned the reaping what you sowed in the spring. I think this is such a beautiful metaphor, and it is far from being a cliche. It really is an indication that for me, that's an indication that we're in alignment. Is when we did all of that planting work and sowing work and cultivating and fertilizing and all of that work all the way through the winter, actually, because you till the soil over the winter. And then, you said it's taken a year to suddenly see and know that at times it didn't always feel comfortable. It doesn't always feel comfortable. Digging ground doesn't feel comfortable. No. It's not like you snap your fingers and all of a sudden, it's all plowed up and you got things planted. You have to go in there and do the work. So you brought up so many beautiful points that I know that people will absolutely relate to. So as we are focused on, you and I know that actually, time doesn't really exist, and there's no such thing really as a calendar. However, for convenience sake, we organize our life and our entrepreneurial life around a yearly calendar, and we have and we are transitioning to that last quarter. So I would love for you to share of your work. What is the thing, and I'm going to use one of your favorite phrases, is how can entrepreneurs get the biggest bang for their buck right now? So what is the most optimum thing they could achieve with taking aligned action right now?
I would honestly go back every single time I'm asked this question. I give the same answer. The biggest bang anybody that can get for their buck in terms of their finances is to pay a bill. It is step one of my conscious wealth code. It is the one thing that gets money moving and the universe reacting really, really, really quickly. And paying a bill could be as simple as paying a bill, but it could be something else. So there's a whole list of things, and essentially the teaching and hopefully the learning behind the pay a bill step is that the universe always says yes to everything you do. It always reacts with yes. But the language of money, the language of the universe is energy. And so the universe reads the frequency at which you are vibrating. And everything you do, every doing, every action you take has a frequency, which is the language of the universe that the universe reads and reacts to with yes. So anywhere you're ignoring your money, your finances, what you are doing is you're not dealing with your money. We ignore what we don't want in our world. We ignore what we don't want in our lives. You know, if you're walking down the street and you've got someone coming towards you who you don't really want to engage in for whatever reason, you'll avoid them. Dive into the nearest store, you know, wait for them to go past and then go merrily on your way. We ignore what we don't want in our lives. So if you don't want to deal with your money, there'll be no money for you to deal with. Simple as that. And I've never, ever, ever had a conversation with anybody where there isn't somewhere they're ignoring their money, even if they're all over it. So they're checking their bank accounts regularly. They know they're on top of their invoices. They know who owes what to who. They're up to date with paying their invoices. You know, they've got a bookkeeper that takes care of all of those things. But somewhere, someone is always ignoring their money somewhere. Okay, so you can get a massive bang for your buck just by mopping up anything left over from the first 3 quarters of the year, for sure. But check things like go through your bank statements and just check that you haven't got any ongoing subscriptions that you've forgotten about. If you've been thinking, oh, my mobile phone contract is up for renewal, or it's been up for renewal for 3 months, I'll get to that. Get it done. Anywhere you're thinking of maybe having a conversation about, like with a financial advisor or a bookkeeper or an accountant, or going over to turning your company from sole trader to limited company, anything like that, anything that you're like, oh, I'll get to that. It's been on your radar a while, and when I've got time, I'll get to that. Pull the pin out of it and get on with it. Because all of those things are somewhere you're ignoring your money. Piles of paperwork that need shredding. You know, you're terrified to put them out into the, you know, your standard trash because they're covered in personal details. Get it shredded, because it's just sitting there waiting for you to do something about it. And again, the universe, when you wait to do something, the universe assumes that you want to wait. So you'll be waiting for all sorts of things to happen because you're waiting to get things done. And the most important bill for anybody to pay is the bill to themselves. That's to make sure that any income that they've got coming in through their business, that they are allocating themselves a percentage of that to themselves first. And that they're regularly looking at that and increasing that by a couple of % every 3 months or so. So while I've been talking, usually what happens is people start, like, they get the downloads. They know, everybody really knows what it is that they've been putting off when it comes to their money. Going.
So actually, so paying the bill is actually kind of an overview for following up and dotting the I's, crossing the T's.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, just finding the way that you've been ignoring money and money related things. And you're right. There are so many possible ways that can happen. Even things like apps that you've signed up for, you know, to for your business that you haven't used for months, and that money's going out actually.
Yeah.
And then you suddenly realize it's just going out, and then you think, damn, 3 months I've been paying that, I haven't used it, and I don't need it anymore. So yeah, so get concentrated then on, well, give money some attention.
Yes, basically. And then once you say yes to your money, the universe will say yes to you, usually in the form of money.
Yeah. And such a good time to start to get back into your money again.
Yeah, it's perfect. I mean, I'm not sure how common it is, but I mean, like my end of year, my financial year is August. Is like, so my, like, literally everything's now tied up and ready to go over to my bookkeeper. Like, all my year-end stuff is done so that he can be getting all that tied up, so that I can get all my I's dotted and T's crossed, so well in advance of, you know, my corporation tax due date, I'll know how much money I need to pay over to the government. You know, it's like August for me really is like the end of the year in a way, because now it's like a new financial year. It's a new financial year for me. And I think that does happen with quite a lot of people. I don't know why exactly. Probably, as you said, it's about universal flow. And for some reason, August seems to be the date where things finish off. I mean, schools go back in September. So many people have children that have been off for the summer, and then they go back to school for a new academic year. So it is a new year for so many people, even though on the calendar it's not a new year yet, but it still marks an important transition.
Yeah, it really does. And it's number 9 as well.
Yes. One of our favorites.
369. So there's some completion there before we start the last quarter. So so that's fantastic. Like, biggest bang for your buck. Now let's just go at it from another angle. How can I really make a difference to my results this year? So I would love for you to share an insight about what happens when you get on with a client for the first time, or a breakthrough call, or when you actually start to appraise where they are. Because with your code, your conscious wealth code, I know it has all sorts of different facets and elements. So what is the area that you ask people to address first of all when they in the breakthrough?
Honestly, when I get on a breakthrough call, and I'm doing sort of like an assessment, I guess, as you say, of where they are and what they've got going on, so that I'm sort of gathering the clues together as to how I'm going to be able to support that person going forward. I always tell them that money is never actually the problem. People find me and want to work with me because money is a happy byproduct of alignment, and they know that I'm going to help them make more money and break through to their next income level, etc. And that's great, and I love being known for that. But money is never actually the problem. It can't be. because money is the final piece that drops in. Money is one of the final pieces of evidence that drops in as a result of alignment. So that being the case, there's really only so many things that you can do to make sure you're actually directly in alignment when it comes to money in and of itself. Paying a bill is one of those things. Being on top of your finances and knowing what's going on is one of those things. But honestly, it's either going to be one of the other three commodities of alignment. So time or the powerful commodity of you. And honestly, the more the more clients that I'm working with these days, the more I would say over the last 18 months, probably, I'm finding that the main issue is time. The main issue is time. So many people, they'll get on I'm just gonna quieten that down. Get on a call with me thinking that money's the problem. And I'll ask them a bunch of questions and they'll be saying things, well, it used to work. You know, I used to make, I don't know, 5K months or 10K months, like fill in the blank, and everything was going really well. But I haven't made any money, like real money, for like 3 or 4 months. Everything's plateauing. I don't know what's going on. There's all this stuff that they'll say to me. And then when I start diving into it, I find out that actually the big issue for that client is usually time. It's usually time. And it's a misalignment with how they are assigning value to time. I tell my clients that when it comes to like the language of the universe, the energetic language of the universe doesn't actually see any difference between time and money. It treats the way we treat time and money, the way we make choices around time and money, is exactly the same for the universe. It doesn't see a difference at all, and it will react the same way. So if you spend time doing something that you don't really want to do, and it has a low frequency, like obligation, for example, I have to do this, I've got to do this, I must do this, then the universe assumes that you enjoy being in that frequency of obligation, and it will just say yes and bring you a bunch more things that you feel like you've got to do. And we cannot be a vibrational match for money if we're spending all our time in obligation. They're two ends of an energetic spectrum. So if you're doing obligation, you're not going to be a match for financial freedom. Money represents freedom, it represents choice. And obligation is the opposite to that. So then it's about diving into the schedules with my clients, looking at how many hours they're spending in their business, looking at what they're doing with those hours, what energy are they actually in when they are doing these particular business activities, and then taking it one step further, because alignment it's not just about alignment in business or alignment in money. It is the whole. It is the whole being. So once we're all over it in our businesses, as it were, then you need to really kind of open the box and look at your life. And one of the most fabulous things I think about, like when I've been working with a client longer term and we're able to really kind of get into this stuff and really start to make those changes, is when a client is in the position where they're really starting to get it, and they're looking not only at the time they're spending in their business and how they're allocating that time and assigning value with that time, but then they realize that actually you need to look at how you're spending your free time too. the time outside of your business, and making sure that you're vibrating at a frequency that's a vibrational match for money outside of your business, because money is just another word for abundance. It's just like I say, money is a happy byproduct of alignment, but you can take the word money out of there and put in there anything that you want. Your vehicle of desire, whatever you desire, is a happy byproduct of your alignment. And alignment doesn't just, you can't compartmentalize energy like that. So when you've got it all going on in your business and your life, you're pretty much unstoppable, truly. And you've got like consequences of abundance dropping in all over the place. It's fabulous.
Awesome. Well, I knew that this was going to be a powerful session. Even just coming back to your absolute basics, your basics are your basics are so valuable. So that is absolutely awesome. So we've got biggest bang for your buck. We've got the really taking stock of you and your time as well as money, the three commodities.
Mm-hmm.
And I would love to ask you, over this incredible transitional year that you've had, you've talked about how far you've come and what is coming up. What do you think is, for you in your own work, let's put the spotlight back on your work. What do you think is that the biggest breakthrough that you've had for where you are now? Because I know the gorgeous projects that you're about to roll out.
Mm-hmm.
What would you say of your work has been your biggest breakthrough this year?
You know what, I loved this question when you sort of posed it to me yesterday, giving me something to sort of like percolate on overnight, as it were. And there is something, and in a way it feels a little bit vulnerable to actually talk about it, because it still feels quite new and fresh for me. But I really do think when I look back on my emergence, if you like, and the evolution of my work, going right back to the days when I was running my own bookkeeping business, when the very earliest versions of my work showed up. If I look back at all those years and a timeline, I genuinely think that what I'm about to share with you will be one of the sort of biggest ahas going forward, so that I'm actually able to support clients from that space too. And so, like I say, I'm being a bit vulnerable. I did wonder whether I could figure out something that was a little bit easier to talk about. And I don't know why I feel vulnerable about it either. But anyway, I just decided, no, I'm just going to do it. I'm just going to share it. And you guys might not even understand why it feels uncomfortable for me to share. And maybe I don't either. But here's the thing. Everybody knows, anyone that knows me and knows my work knows that I don't do community. I don't have a group. I don't have a Facebook group. Groups aren't my thing, right? I'm an introvert by nature. I have very intimate relationships with a very select few people. I'm very careful with my energy. I'm very careful with my boundaries. And for the longest time, a group wasn't a thing for me. I opened a Facebook group for a specific reason. I knew that it would be open for a maximum of a year, but I intended to close it within 9 months if I could, and I did. I ran a couple of group programs which were very successful, just like before the pandemic, but I didn't enjoy them. And that last one that I did, I literally got to a point where I was like, you know what? This is it. That's it. I am literally drawing a line under this now, and I will never have a group again. I will never run a group program again. I will never. And so for about the first year, I knew that that was the right choice. I knew that that was the aligned choice for me, even though I was bumping up against my ego that was sort of like making it wrong about me, and everybody else has a group and everybody else can leverage a group and da da da. And so that was the first year. And I was like, no, 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 stay in my own lane. I do my own alignment. This is what's aligned for me right now. And after the first year, I was able to see how aligned that was for me. I run a very successful business and have done, working one-to-one with clients. And then for the second year of the pandemic, if you like, having really sort of owned that about myself and stood in my power about that, and absolutely not making it wrong about myself anymore, I let it go completely. So it was like I was resistant to it for a year. I mean, I fought with it for years. Then I made the choice, drew the line in the sand and was like, no, no more, no more. And then I was challenged by it for a year and made it wrong about myself for a year, but I kept going, kept going, kept going. And then for the last year of the pandemic, so the year before last, so this was 2021, I guess, it stopped being a thing for me. The resistance went and I just felt good about it. It just wasn't a thing anymore, you know? And then a lot happened at the back end of 2021. Some interesting things happened. I made some new choices out of necessity, because I'd left things sitting for too long and the universe gave me a kick in the butt, which it does on occasion. And I honoured what I needed to do and I got that done. And that opened up this whole new version that I was talking about at the back end of 2021. So that over Christmas, when I had my month break, everything became clear of what the next year and what the next level of my business was going to look like. And blow me, I was going to open a group. I was going to have my own group. As soon as I heard that, I was like, are you joking? Are you absolutely kidding me? I was like, this just can't be. But there was no argument about it. There was like, it was already done. It was so bizarre. And I still find it bizarre now how it all evolved and emerged and rolled out. And I was like, okay, all right then, well, I will open a group. I understand, and I want to do it, and it's aligned for me and it's going to be fine, and da da da. I'll do it in August. Not a chance. The universe was not having that at all, and I ended up having to open it in June because I was so oversubscribed one-to-one by then that I had nowhere to put clients. So the universe wasn't going to let me wait any longer. And it's been one of the most amazing things. I serve a fabulous bunch of people in there. It's like, it was immediately after, say, the first call that I did, it was very normal. It felt like home. There was no resistance to it. It's totally on my terms. Everybody loves it. It will, you know, I'm very excited for what will happen with it in the coming months and years. But there was a part of me that was like, oh, yeah, but all that time I was so against it. And then I was like resistant to being against it. And it was such a mess. It was such a mess. But what I realized, the lesson, if you like, the breakthrough for me was that I'm now a vibrational match for it, whereas previously I hadn't been. There were there was a journey that I needed to go on. There was alignment work that I needed to do, both inner and outer. There was things that I needed to learn and understand and acknowledge and stand in for myself. And then I had to be absolutely okay with it, to the point that I no longer, it just wasn't even on my radar. And then it was like, yeah, now it's time. And what I learned from that, and what I'm able now to, it was a surprise for me. It was a shock to me. So what I'm able to do now is, when I hear a client or I'm working with a client and we're unpacking their alignment in terms of marketing, or their alignment in terms of their offer or their price point, or all of that, is that really my job in their journey is to hold space for them, so that they don't make wrong about themselves all the things they've been making wrong about themselves. Because the quicker they get through that, the quicker they'll be ready for what's next. And that was the biggest thing I learned this year. And I've got no idea why it felt vulnerable to share it. But yeah, it was huge for me. It's been huge for me. It's like literally, I know now where the phrase "never say never" comes from.
Well, thank you so much for sharing that. Even as you recounted the whole journey of it, there were so many gems there that other people can take away. It's really interesting. I've had a very similar experience to you over a year, and the things that I was resisting a year ago, when the timing's right, and because we work with alignment, we understand about this being a vibrational match and being in alignment. It is the most important thing. You know, just like open your eyes in the morning and find the way that you need to be in alignment with your desires, with your higher self, with your highest business vision, everything. So thank you for being vulnerable and sharing that, because it was full of riches, just so many things that people can take away. In fact, this whole session has been, as usual, jam-packed full of gems. So we really have covered what can be a breakthrough, moving forward, up level, quantum leap, whatever you want, just something that will help catalyze new results and change. So you've covered the whole gamut, and not just with regards to money, but you've made it relatable to time, money, and you. It's always the three commodities. So thank you so much, Karen, for all of that richness and riches. And if anybody is out there listening to this, watching this, hearing you maybe for the first time, not knowing you, not knowing where to come and find out more, can you just share where we can find you, where people can come and have their own breakthrough?
Well, the best place is probably going to be Facebook. They can find me on my business page. They can find me in Preeminence, obviously, and send me a friend request and shoot me a DM. I've got a freebie for you. I've got a gift for you. You can also go and check out the website, which is www.soulwhispers, or one word, soul being SOUL, whispers.uk. And yeah, come and say hi. And I'm sure I'll be able to show you what you need to do next to move that needle of alignment. I'd love to hear from you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And I have to say that a year ago, I never thought I would hear you say you could find me on Facebook.
No, this is true. And I mean, let's put it into context.
Never say never.
Never say never. And I'm not actually there on Facebook, but you can find
it's practical.
It's practical.
Okay. Right. So if you, wherever you're listening to this out there in the world, this is Jenni P. Karen is one of my executive contributors in the Preeminence magazine. She puts her fabulous work in every single issue. There are a backlog of trainings, 23 trainings that you can have for free by coming into and registering for the magazine, because you get access to all the back issues. So that is jenni-p.com/magazine. Jenni with an I, jenni-p.com/magazine. I will put the links under here. And again, find me on Facebook, Jenni P. Parker Brown. Come and join us in our group where you can watch this again and bring your friends and actually do some of the training that we've been talking about. So thank you again, Karen, my babylicious friend.
Thank you, my friend.
And here's to an absolutely awesome last part of the year.
Here's to that.